Welcome to another exciting episode of VegasVibes Junction, where we bring you the most influential voices and inspiring personalities. Today, we are honored to have with us a remarkable leader, a dedicated public servant, and a true advocate for the people of Nevada. Serving as the U.S. representative for Nevada's 3rd Congressional District, she has tirelessly worked to improve education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for all. Her commitment to service and her unwavering dedication to her constituents have made her a beacon of hope and a driving force for positive change. Please join me in welcoming the incredible Congresswoman Susie Lee.
Oh, so nice to be with you, Esmeralda. Thank you for having me.
It's truly an honor to have you with us. Well, before we dive into some serious questions, I would like to kick things off with something fun to break the ice. Congresswoman Susie Lee, we'd love to do a quick round of rapid fire questions to get to know you better.
Okay.
Each question is answerable in just one word or a short sentence.
Okay.
Are you ready?
We're ready.
Congresswoman Susie Lee, what's your favorite book or movie?
I just watched American Symphony yesterday. It was incredible.
What's your favorite spot in Nevada?
Oh, my favorite spot in Nevada, probably Red Rock National Recreation Area.
Who has been your biggest inspiration?
Oh, my kids, my children.
What's one hobby you wish you had more time for?
Oh, I love to hike. I wish I could hike more.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Abraham Lincoln.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Oh, my cookies.
Morning person or night owl?
Definitely a morning person.
What's a hidden talent you have?
Hidden talent. I don't know.
Do you sing?
Oh, no, I do not.
Play any sports?
I was a swimmer, yeah.
Favorite vacation destination?
Oh, goodness. I like the mountains, anywhere where I can ski.
Wow. What's one word that describes you the best?
Oh, one word, hardworking.
Wow. Congresswoman Susie Lee, if you weren't in politics, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
Maybe something in fashion, I don't know, or in the outdoors, one or the other.
Wonderful. Well, now let's jump into the serious questions. Congresswoman Susie Lee, can you share with us the journey that led you to the career in public service? What inspired you to run for office?
Well, so many people who go into public service really are driven to it from their backgrounds. And I grew up as one of 8 children in Canton, Ohio. My dad worked at a steel company. My mother stayed at home. We all had to pitch in to make ends meet, so I worked from the age of 8, delivering papers, put myself through college, working 3 and 4 jobs. I fortunately was able to graduate without the debilitating debt that so many young people have when they graduate now. I immediately went into public service. I went and worked for an economics environmental consulting firm, moved here to Las Vegas about 30 years ago and have spent my entire career in nonprofits. I worked with the former mayor Jan Jones, who's a mentor of mine. We started the city's first comprehensive homeless drop-in center. Then I started the After School All-Stars program, which provides free after-school programming for middle school students, still in existence today. Have 2 beautiful children, Nevada and Cody. And then I was the president of Communities and Schools, which is a dropout prevention program. So long story, but it basically lays the framework that I spent a lot of time working with people who are struggling, trying to get by, trying to get ahead. And especially through education, finding that the biggest barrier to so many people in our community is poverty. And whether you're fighting for a livable minimum wage or paid family leave or affordable housing, affordable childcare, a lot of that policy comes out of Washington. So that's what drove me ultimately to make the decision to run for Congress. Another thing also being that I was sort of like most of America tired of the dysfunction in Washington, the hyper-partisan, people go to their corners and don't talk to one another. And so I made it a point, I'm the co-chair of or vice chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is half Democrats, half Republicans, vice chair of the Bipartisan Women's Caucus. So I spend a lot of time trying to bring us together to solve problems, to get things done, because ultimately that's what Congress should be doing. So those were the motivations to get me to run for Congress and continue to serve, and it's been a true honor.
That's really truly commendable that you want to make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So many people made a difference in my life too.
Yeah, and you're paying it forward.
That's right.
Fun fact, you mentioned you named your daughter, one of your daughters, Nevada.
Nevada.
How did that happen?
I know. Actually, I was in the process of potentially moving from Nevada. We ended up moving back to Nevada, so yeah, it's a special name.
And you're really meant to be here in Nevada.
Yes, that's right.
How has your background and personal experiences shaped your approach to policy making and advocacy?
Well, listen, I think it really comes down to focusing on people and being able to figure out what the problem is, trying to bring people together to solve the problem. And whether you're starting a nonprofit from nothing, where you have to, go find the funding, bring together all the resources to actually get it to the people who need it the most. That's exactly what we're doing in Washington. We're trying to get the resources into our communities so we can have a vibrant economy, people can work and pay their bills and save for the future. And so to me, it's really about, rolling up your sleeves, working together and trying to get things done for people. And that's always been sort of my career, has been about, seeing a problem, whether it was our low graduation rate, our homeless issue, really just focusing on what is it we need to do, what are the resources we need to bring to it, and how can we move forward and improve people's lives.
Did you form your own foundation or nonprofit
Well, it was
organization?
they were nonprofits, yes.
Nonprofits.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what is that? Did you?
Well, the first was MASH Homeless Center. It was actually part of the city of Las Vegas. Then it was called the Inner City Games when I ran it, and now it's called the After School All-Stars. It's part of a national organization, and then Communities and Schools, which is a dropout prevention program. I was the president of it.
Wow, that's great to know. That's amazing. What are the key legislative priorities you are currently focusing on, and how do you believe they will impact the lives of your constituents?
Well, listen, I serve on the Appropriations Committee, which is the committee charged with getting money into our community. I serve on the Energy and Water Subcommittee, so I do a lot of work in the water space, making sure that we have enough water for our future. I just sponsored a Help Hoover Dam bill.
Wow.
There's $45 million that's sitting there that's not being used, that we're trying to get so that Hoover Dam can use it to improve maintenance and do some upgrades to the facility. Housing also being an incredibly important issue in our community right now. I have a bill I introduced called the ACE Act, which will speed up appraisals of federal land so we can get federal land more ready to be put to development so we can build more affordable housing. We simply need more units, and us being in a state that is over 80% federally controlled, we have to rely on being able to dispose of this land so that we can get it into development. So that's a bill I've been working on. I also have a prescription drug transparency or a health insurance transparency act, basically so people know what they're buying, right? They know what they're paying for. So those are some of the key pieces of the legislation I'm working on right now.
Wow, that's great to know, and that's a lot that you're doing. Can you discuss any recent legislation you have championed and its significance for Nevada and the nation?
Well, listen, most important piece of legislation, or two significant pieces of legislation that have had an incredible impact in Nevada, is the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed. That bill was sort of dead in the water, and I was part of a bipartisan group of legislators, Senate, House, governors, who met off-site in Annapolis, Maryland, and really got it back on track so that we could lay the foundation that became part of that bill. What does that mean to Nevada? We've already seen or we're going to see about 150,000 jobs here in our state. Brightline, high-speed rail to California. incredible investment into our roads, our airports, so that's very exciting. Not to mention investment in our water system as well, including one of my bills, the Bipartisan Water Recycling Act, which is a bill that will free up federal legislation so that we can support a water recycling plant in LA. They keep the water in LA, Southern Nevada Water Authority invests in it, and we keep the water in Lake Mead. So that's an exciting part of that bill. And then of course the Inflation Reduction Act, which was so important to our state, creating thousands of clean energy jobs, but more importantly for so many of our seniors and people relying on prescription drugs, bringing down the cost of prescription drug pricing, $2,000 out of pocket per year cap for seniors, capping insulin at $35 a month, and then most importantly, negotiating on some of the most widely used drugs to bring down those prices. So those are big pieces of legislation that we passed and really have had an incredible impact in Nevada in bringing jobs, helping us make a transformation to a clean energy future, which living in one of the hottest cities in America, we know how important climate change is and making sure we're doing our part to make that transition.
Oh, that's amazing, truly amazing. What have been some of the most challenging moments, I'm sure, in your political career, and how did you overcome them?
Well, listen, I represent one of the most contentious seats in terms of politically in the House of Representatives. So every 2 years, I'm running in a very tight re-election. That's always a challenge.
Do you think that's too short to your term? They should extend
Hey,
it?
it's what the Constitution has. I would wish it were longer, but it's not. But January 6th was obviously a turning point in this country. We are a democracy that is based on the peaceful transfer of power. And to have a former president challenge that and to see the attack and the destruction on the United States Capitol, I was holed up in my office for hours and hours, afraid for our safety. But not only that, the ramifications that have happened since then from that fateful day. It was definitely one of the most challenging parts of my job. The UNLV shooting obviously was so impactful for our community. UNLV is such a beacon of hope for our community, for young people to start their careers, to get their education, and to be touched by gun violence, which plagues every community in this country, senseless gun violence. So that was a challenge as well.
Wow. Can you highlight a few achievements you are most very proud of during your time in Congress?
Well, my biggest achievement is what we do for constituents. When people call my office, I have an incredible staff that helps them with casework, whether it's with the IRS or with the State Department getting passports, or the Veterans Affairs, Social Security, you name it. People call my office, and I'm most proud that my office has been recognized as one of the top 4 constituent services offices of all 435 members of Congress.
So that's quite an achievement.
We're hoping the announcement will come out. We might be the winner, but we're at least the finalists. And then I've been recognized as the most bipartisan member of Congress, which I'm proud of because, as I said, I entered Congress with the mission to make sure that we are trying to work together better, working for more common ground. So that's been important. And then, of course, all the funding that we've gotten into our state, the Bright Line West, just many, many important investments in creation of jobs here in Nevada.
Wow, congratulations, and thank you for your hard work and inspiring us. Let's now tackle healthcare and education. Healthcare and education are 2 critical areas you have been passionate about. What specific initiatives are you working on to improve these sectors in Nevada? Well,
from a federal point of view, a lot of it comes down to, 1, supporting students in higher ed, and of course Title I funding, which is funding for students who live in poverty, and IDEA, which is for students with disabilities. I have a bill that the federal government made a commitment to states that we would fund these additional resources that students with those challenges need. But the federal government never funded it. So I have a bill that calls on the federal government to live up to its obligation of supporting these supportive services to help students who come to school with additional barriers. Along those lines, Community Serving School Act, which will bring additional resources into schools, and the Pell Grant Sustainability Act. So many students are forced to go into debilitating levels of debt to get a higher education degree. And some of that has been because the availability of the Pell Grant, which is supportive money for students who are low-income students, has not kept up to inflation. So my bill will allow that. So you see students getting the support they need without having to dip into too much debt. So those are some of the initiatives on the education side. On the healthcare side, like I said, we've achieved a lot with the Inflation Reduction Act, bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. I have a health insurance transparency bill, which will improve transparency so you know what you're paying for. So many times people read their, when they go to purchase something, they don't really know what they're purchasing.
Right.
So, and then I'm really focused on expanding telehealth. Making sure that people who have transportation issues, mobility issues, can have access to telehealth, and also making sure that it's available in different languages like Tagalog.
Yes,
and making
absolutely.
sure that people have access to these resources in the language that they speak. So those are some of the initiatives I'm working on the healthcare front.
Wow, that's great. Well, speaking of education, with the high tuition fee, it discouraged so many people to further their education because they could not afford it.
Absolutely.
And
we need to do more to support our community colleges and recognize that people can go on and get certificates and get training. For every job, you don't need a 4-year university degree. And making sure we're doing things to support that type of training as well. We have incredible unions here in our state who have apprentice programs, and making sure that funds support students who want to take those alternative training opportunities instead of just focusing on 4-year universities.
Right. That's good to know. How do you envision the future of education and healthcare in your district and across the country?
Well, listen, on education, again, I focus a lot on making sure that students who come to school with barriers presented from poverty have the resources that they need, that we continue to recognize teaching as a profession and support teachers. So many of our teachers are underpaid and overworked, and we see that in our state because we have a teacher shortage. On the healthcare front, another issue is we have a shortage of healthcare providers across the board. So making sure we're expanding our residency programs so that doctors who are trained here can stay here. And of course, continuing to focus on transparency and bringing down the prices of prescription drugs and healthcare and telehealth is an example of that. If you think about it, the resources that go into keeping a brick and mortar, making sure, when you come to the office, many people have to wait for 40 minutes. If you can have, now not all doctor's visits are going to be done through telehealth, but some of them can, most importantly, mental health. And making sure that we're expanding support so that people have that as a viable option. And then I'll just say, for women, the attack on reproductive health care for women has been a major issue in this country with the fall of Roe v. Wade. And listen, I grew up in a Catholic family. I understand the moral trepidations that people have or opposition. But I ultimately believe that it's a decision that a woman and her doctor should have, and whoever her moral compass is, if it's if she's a Christian or whoever it is, that she has the ability to make her own decision.
Yes.
And by the way, that's also related to we have an OBGYN shortage in our state. And when you think about it, you have Arizona and Utah who have seen restrictions on abortion care. Well, guess where they're coming? They're coming to our state. And what that means is that women in our state, we've seen a 30% increase of women from out of state coming to seek care in our state. So what it does is it creates a backlog for people in our state. But more importantly, if you're a doctor and you have someone who is in need of an abortion, but you're afraid to perform it or prescribe it because you might be persecuted, it's eliminating a tool that you have in your toolbox. And so we have seen less and less people go into the profession of OBGYNs because their hands are tied.
Because of the liabilities as well.
The liabilities and their hands are tied. But ultimately, like I said, I believe that this is a choice that women should have. It's a healthcare decision, and and even in the cases of rape, we are seeing restrictions across this country, and so I just think it's an important healthcare issue as well.
That's wonderful. How do you stay connected with your constituents, and what role do community feedback and engagement play in your decision-making process?
Well, I spend a lot of time when I'm in the community here, going out to small businesses, going out to community events. I was at Africa Day on Sunday, which was a great celebration at Desert Breeze Park. I spend a lot of time, out in the community at farmers markets, you name it, talking to my constituents. But also, we want people to call my office. My phone number is 702-963-9336. We want people to reach out or email me. So every week I get a report on who's made phone calls, who has emailed me. We do keep up with constituents who are calling for support. And so I can keep a pulse on what's going on in my community, because I'm a representative. I'm elected to serve the people of Nevada, and I can't serve them if I don't know and I don't hear from them. So I always say to people, if you want to make your voice heard, number one, make sure you vote. But number two, pick up the phone, write an email to your congressperson. I want to hear from you if you don't agree or agree with something, or there's a need in the community that you don't think is being met. So that's an important source for me to keep in touch with my constituents as well.
It's great to know that you have an open door policy, that anyone can just reach out to you and their voices will be heard, because that's very important.
Very important.
Can you share a memorable story or interaction with a constituent that has had a lasting impact on you?
Well, I am the daughter of a veteran. My father served in the Korean War. We have a large veteran community here in Southern Nevada, men and women who have put their lives on the line for our freedom and for our democracy. And so I take it very seriously, making sure that we're providing them with the resources they need. I had the opportunity to do a very special workout session with MVP, with many veterans, and really get a chance to understand just how much, the wounds of war that they carry with them, and how important it is for us to continue to focus and offer them the resources they need. Obviously, most importantly with PTSD and mental health counseling, and offering them the support. And one in particular is a woman veteran who called, who had her wheelchair had been broken for a while, and she had been struggling with that. And in 2 weeks, we called the VA and were able to help her out. So, again, those are the type of success stories that we like to hear when people have nowhere to turn, and they turn to us, and we're able to get them the resources they need.
It might be a small thing, but it's a big thing for her to have.
Absolutely, life-changing.
Yes, absolutely. Looking ahead, what are your long-term goals for Nevada and for your career in public service?
Well, listen, I think Nevada has been such a great place to live, and we're such an innovative and inclusive community and state. I think there's a lot of opportunity for our economy to diversify, to continue to strengthen. We are the entertainment capital of the world, but we have so many opportunities with respect to technology, with drones, making sure that healthcare, we continue to improve our healthcare. And of course, most important to that is improve our education system and bring down the cost of housing. So very focused on that, just to continue to grow our economy. Obviously, I do a lot of work in water, making sure we have the water that we need for economic growth. So I'm looking, I think Nevada has a great future, and I just hope that we continue to grow, support our small businesses, support our entrepreneurs in our community, break down red tape, make sure that we continue to take advantage of all the opportunities we have, especially with technology and computers and AI, drone technology. So Nevada has a lot of promise. And then, of course, with renewable energy, we are the center, at the epicenter of the potential for renewable energy here in the state of Nevada, and continuing to build off of that, I think, is exciting for the future.
Well, I don't know much about politics, but I'm learning a lot from you today. How do you plan to address emerging challenges and opportunities in the coming years?
Same way I've always done. It's just, you don't need to be on Twitter, you don't need to be on national TV, you need to be working across the aisle, finding ways that you can work with someone who may be dealing with a similar issue in their own district. And here's an example. Like I said, healthcare is a big issue, access to healthcare. And there's a federal program that supports federally qualified health centers. Now, these are health centers that are generally focused in communities of need. They're brick and mortar. Well, traditionally, funding has been intended just to build new buildings or expand buildings. But we know that so many people, especially in our community, suffer from a lack of transportation. So my bill, the Mobile Health Care Act, allows for this funding to be used to purchase mobile health care units. I partnered with Richard Hudson from North Carolina. He's a Republican. He's in a rural district. He struggles with the same type of access issues. So it's really trying to find those areas where, instead of, I always say, don't find the red lines and say, I'm not going to cross them. Find the areas where you're like, I have a problem, you have a problem, this is a potential solution. Let's work together, get our colleagues to come together to support this, which is exactly what we did and got the bill passed. Well,
Congresswoman Susie Lee, I wish we had more time, but please invite everyone. Where can people find you and all the incredible things that you do?
Sure, susielee.house.gov is my website, 702-963-9336.
If you had one superpower, what would it be and why?
One superpower. I am a connector of people. I like to figure out, I have the opportunity of being in this job and being in this community. So when I see people who need each other or who can benefit one another, bringing them together to see what great things can happen.
Well, you are truly amazing, and you are a superhero to us. Thank you for everything that you do for Nevada.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's really an honor to have you, and thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you.
We wish you good luck on your current and future endeavors.
All right. Thank you.
Bless.
Thanks for having me.
From all of us here at VegasVibes Junction, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Congresswoman Susie Lee for sharing her invaluable insights and inspiring us with her unwavering dedication to public service. Her relentless commitment to enhancing the lives of her constituents and her passionate advocacy for crucial issues are truly remarkable. To our global viewers, we hope this conversation has illuminated the impactful work being undertaken by our leaders and inspired you to remain engaged and informed. Remember, each of us holds the power to effect change in our communities. Stay tuned to Vegas Vibes Junction for more inspiring stories and influential voices. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and continue making a positive impact in the world.
Into your eyes, there I see who you are to me. Your love so special, your kiss so sweet, only your smile can complete. Now that I stand next to you, glad I was there to reassure you. The sadness in your eyes, I'll replace with eternal smiles. So now I can't resist holding on to commit, inspired to love you and keep you smile until the